Hello, Ajahn, are you there? We cannot hear you.
Yeah, I think Kumen said that she's online now.
I know he said that, but I called him.
I was Sawadee Krap, Ajahn.
ค่ะ
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์ครับ สวัสดีครับท่านอาจารย์ สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะทุกคน
Okay. Thank you, Ajahn. We can get underway now. Does anyone have a question to bring up or comment to make? Alberto?
Just a question about Samma Ajiva, because I'm not sure I understand it. I understand the full meaning of it, because I usually read about right livelihood. I think it can be more than just the occupation one is doing for a living, because of course for bhikkhus they don't have have an occupation to earn a living. So can Ajahn explain about the Virati Chittasikas, especially Sammajiva? Thank you, Ajahn.
I think that is there any understanding of what is there now a little more, even to understand Samma Ajiva, because as long as one lives, there must be life which has to continue on by many different conditions. But there must be living, eating, talking, and so on. When it's on the right way, even that is Samma Ajiva, right Ajiva, living. Is that enough to understand that not anyone at all? The point of listening to whatever is there is to understand a little more about it's not anyone at all. Otherwise, how can there be a moment of beginning to let go? Wrong understanding and ignorance and attachment to what is there now as I. Seeing, hearing, wanting, talking, learning, and so on. All I. But in order to understand the truth of just one reality, a little more at any moment we are talking about, it's there to be known. That's why before there can be thinking about living or Samma Ajiva, life has to go on, and there must be conditions for life to go on too. And one condition is that which is Samma Ajiva. One has to live, and how to live without food, without home, without anything, just live like animal. No house, no thought at all. But understanding what is right in living while one is still not die yet. What is there? Just live rightly, right livelihood, that's all. Do we have to find out what is there, what the sikas are there, 2 or 3 or 1? But whatever is there, learn to understand the nature of that little by little. Because otherwise it's the intention trying to find out what is there. What for? For understanding, for letting go, or for I can understand that? That's why it's so very tricky to learn to understand the truth, because ignorance and attachment keep on being master of each moment, just want this or that, even at moment of hearing and considering. It's so very difficult to understand the very deep attachment and ignorance of what is there. Not about livelihood, but what about I there, thinking, wanting to understand that. And when there is the understanding of that, like vitaka, what is vitaka and what is phassa, no understanding of this moment. Just learn to understand. But in order to let go, the attachment to the I, what is heard, it just leads to understanding the truth of different nature, different realities, that they are there. But what is there now? If it's not known yet, how can there be just the word about Samma Vaca, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, and so on? That's why no matter what Cetasikas are there, different from moment to moment, even there are only 52, what is there? Can it can it be conditioned to just letting go, little by little, of that which is taken for I want to, may I understand this or that, what for? Just to cling to understanding, not knowing that it is no one at all. It is just like any reality, just arise and falls away. That's why Buddha didn't teach about Cetasika. But what is there as Cetasika? He talked about that reality. He didn't say that Akusala Citta and Hetuka Citta and so on. But he talked about what is there and learn to understand more when he taught about Citta and Cetasika, that Bhikkhu Anuruddha just collected all the essence of the teaching for those who have no understanding at all, just to learn to understand the truth, not just the word. So now, do you forget about other Cetasikas or remember all of them right now? But the nature of that which is not Citta, and it is different from moment to moment. So it's time to understand, why do we study Dhamma? Why do we hear a little more of seeing, of Cetasika, even the Samma Vaca, Samma Kammanta, and Samma Ajiva? It's there in life. But how can it be known? Not by will or try to understand it, but for to let go the idea of self, or to have the understanding of that reality, that word only. Not, it's not anyone at all. It's just in life, any moment of living. What is that condition for life to go on is Samma Ajiva, when it's right, and when it's wrong is Miccha Ajiva. All from action or deeds and speech in different ways, wholesome manners or unwholesome manners, up to the degree that it can condition ill deeds through words and through speech and deeds. That's all. And when it concerns living, it's Miccha Ajiva or it is Samma Ajiva. When it's not concerned of living, it is the moment in life, just any moment of talking. It is Samma or Miccha or Sampapalawata. No sense, nonsense at all. Just talk about it. And it can be moment of life or living or livelihood too at that moment. Just try to talk about whatever is there as is so very good and so on. See, just daily life.
Ajahn, what about just thinking like delirious thinking, like even not speaking, even not doing anything, but just being lost in thinking about anything really, which is gone. Is it that Nicha Jiva too, or not yet?
Okay, you're talking about speaking or just
Just
thinking?
just thinking, yeah, just maybe thinking for hours or maybe half an hour or even an hour about the situation which we have lived, we, which we
So what are the 10 akusala kamma patan? See, kaya kamma, vaci kamma, and mano kamma. Thinking with kusala cetasikas or with akusala cetasikas, to what degree to be, whether it reach the degree of mano kamma. See, thinking of wanting something from the others, wanting to take something of the others. See, there can be such thoughts with kusala or akusala. It depends on it is manokamma or kaya kamma or vacikamma. But when it is thinking about friends and so on, it is kusala or akusala. That's why even thinking depends on citta. What kind of citta? What degree of citta? Thinking with attachment only, or thinking about what to speak, or thinking about what to do as a deed, kusala kamma or akusala kamma. That's why there can be moments of doing ill deeds with akusala citta, whether it is manokamma or kaya kamma or vacikamma. If there's no thought about it before, just out the slip of the tongue, no intention to harm or to do anything at all. Right? That's why we learn about different kinds of citta through different doorways. To understand even thinking is thinking with a kusala or kusala of what degree. About livelihood, to rob, see, or to do what? Manokamma, to speak the truth, to be understood. Is it not manokamma? Samadhi. But whatever concern living, like salesman and so on, it depends on the speech and deeds too.
So Alberto, could you perhaps clarify about your question? Are you asking about the mental factor of right livelihood, or about something more general than that?
yeah, we know that it's virati cetasika, so it arises to prevent the akusala.
Right. So in the case you were quoting earlier, when delirious thinking, it's not necessarily connected with any particular aspect of livelihood. How could that be? In what sense would that be possibly be right livelihood or wrong livelihood or what?
Yeah, I was trying to distinguish between like Sama Kamanta and Sama Ajiva are two
Right.
different Chitasika.
Right.
So Sama Kamanta sounds more like avoiding the wrong deed.
Is a moment of restraint from akusala, yes. And as Ajahn has explained, if it's a moment of restraint in the course of one's livelihood, that is, means of living, then it's sama ajiva rather than sama kamanta. So it's a different mental factor.
Yeah, that's in the standard explanation. I think it's a bit more than that. Like maybe I was like the example when lost in thinking about in akusala thinking. Doesn't matter some situation and with attachment, and there is the realization of the uselessness and the akusala of the moment. So there can be the cetasika which arises to prevent that kind of thinking. And I thought that would be like sama ajiva. I think Ajahn said something about it. I'm not sure because, as usual, the question is rather about me, about my life, about my thinking, about. So it's not really. It's more concerned about the self than about the present moment. Like.
Yes, but it's still possible to discuss the difference between sama kamanta and sama ajiva without it necessarily being directly related to oneself.
Yeah, but then there would be much use of it. That's what Ajahn was explaining. We tend to consider the situation and the problem as part of a situation. Well, I should talk for myself, of course. And that's
I
the
think
way.
it's common to everyone. And talking of situations, I think earlier you were inclined to talk about right livelihood and wrong livelihood in terms of the occupation being followed. And you said, but a monk doesn't have an occupation. I think the occupation is different from the notion of livelihood in this context, because right livelihood refers to the means by which one subsists and is able to continue to live, support oneself and support one's family. So in the case of a monk's livelihood is to, for example, go on the alms round in the morning and have that contact with the lay community, give them opportunity to support, to converse, and so forth, and also to support the lay community in terms of their interest in the Dhamma. So all these things would fall within livelihood, or in the case of a monk. And for an individual, as Ajahn explained, it's not a question of the occupation being followed, but of how the livelihood is being pursued. So a person could be a doctor, which we would say is a good occupation because helping other people, but he could pursue that occupation in a way that is unwholesome. For example, he could be fraudulent in terms of pricing or how he, charges or pays taxes or whatever, and that would be, those moments would be instances of wrong livelihood. And restraint from that would be instances of right livelihood. And so it's not a question of the occupation, but a question of how one supports oneself in life, in this life.
Okay, and in the case like a doctor tells you a lie for whatever reason, doesn't matter. Is it like wrong livelihood or wrong speech?
It's reckoned as wrong.
Does,
if it's in the course of his practice, it's reckoned as wrong livelihood. Regardless of whether it's by speech or body. Moment of restraint. If we're talking about the mental factor, and if there's a moment of restraint in the course of the livelihood, then it's reckoned as right livelihood.
Yeah, I'm still a bit confused about this issue, but this doesn't matter. I mean, it's, I think I'm trying to understand something which is deeper than it looks like. So it's not like just explaining in words. It's like it cannot be explained in words as in all the different in all its different aspects, and and it's reality.
So how did the subject arise for you?
It's as Ajahn was saying, the reason for my question, it was like the wrong reason, because of the like the wanting to understand for the self. That was my motivation, for sure.
Yes, that's often the case, but there still can, once that is recognized, there can still be a point to be discussed about on the issue, rather than thinking that it's not useful because it comes from a self.
But then the answer would satisfy my own self, but wouldn't be any help in the progress of understanding the reality as not self. It would be like any other subject in life, or any other or job or occupation. Yeah, it's
Well, let me say this. Is the issue any clearer for you at this point?
yeah, it's clearer that in the in respect of the of the present moment, and on the question whether it's is it the right samajiva now, or is it there anything which is right now? And the answer is no.
So, if there were a moment of restraint from a kusala now, can we say whether or not it would be sama ajiva or just sama vaja or sama kamanta?
Yeah, hypothetically, yes. It would be like but that would be just like intellectual level of understanding.
Mm-hmm. Of course, it's not going to be possible to know at a given moment of restraint whether it falls into one bucket or the other. That is, sama ajiva, or the other bucket being sama kamanta, sama vaja. And so in that sense, it's a theoretical distinction only.
Can I just make a point here?
Sure.
Yes, come in, Sundar.
Yeah, I think what Jonathan just said is important, because to whether or not we can say explicitly it is one of the three. Well, just first of all, they cannot all arise together. Only at a moment of magga can they arise together. All those three. But as Jonathan, he gave the example before about the doctor. I have heard the example of the judge, for example, who accepts a bribe and decides guilty instead of not guilty. And that's obviously a case of wrong livelihood. Even though at the moment of announcing his decision, it would seem to be wrong speech, which it is theoretically, of course, but my understanding is that's an example of wrong livelihood. And also, like with the bhikkhu who goes on messages for lay people, or does astrology, for example, for the lay people, that's examples of wrong livelihood for a bhikkhu. And we could probably find lots of other little things like that in worldly situations where people are, interrelating or not to one another. So they're not easy areas. There'll be some degree of speculation, and we may be accurate. Some of them we can see are accurate, because as we know, those three cannot arise together. They can only arise one at a time, or not at all. And when they do, that's quite difficult to say at times. And we'll know that understanding is always the most important thing, whatever arises. It would seem to me a very high level of wisdom to be able to say which one is which. But it's useful to talk about it, and I appreciate Jonathan's point there that it can can help us to tease out other aspects of Dhamma and grow our understanding intellectually, which can help in other areas. That's how I view it. So it's useful to discuss, and this area is certainly, to me, is not entirely clear. We can only discuss with one another, and the matter can become clearer by degrees, and that might be very subtle, but it can be useful.
And just going back to other examples, Alberto, suppose an employer speaks harshly or is inclined to speak harshly to an employee, and that could be said doctor speaking to his receptionist, or the judge speaking to his secretary, or whatever, but there is restraint from that harsh speech at that time. Well, the question you would want to know is that sama ajiva or just sama vacha?
Yeah, that's why I was thinking more about like the mind door, like when there is speech, it must be right speech. When there is refraining from wrong speech, it's right speech. When there is refraining, instead of saying something harsh, at that moment, the Cetasika condition the kusala to speak. So kusala cannot be harsh. The moment of kusala speaking it's not harsh. And the moment of thinking, it's but yeah, that I'm going back to the what I was saying, already said. Another point that Ajahn made, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, just to interrupt. So that thinking could be in relation to one's family, or in relation to one's employment or livelihood, or in relation to something else altogether.
Yeah.
But there's probably also, no value in trying to be more specific than that.
Also, like drawing a line between what is livelihood and what is not livelihood. It's not that. I don't think it can be
not
like
that clear cut, right?
Clear cut.
So it's impossible for us to be specific about it. We can only understand that there is that distinction. And okay, then that's it. So one appreciates that.
Yeah, I was saying also, Ajahn was explaining that these cetasika are for the refraining from. But when there is no refraining, there is no the corresponding akusa cetasika. I mean, it's like samasati and micchasati. There is not a cetasika which is the wrong, the kusala version of the kusala. But there is no the not arising of the cetasika implies the wrongness of the what follows, the wrong speech or the wrong action.
So there's only the restraint at moments when there's the inclination and opportunity to do something, say something akusala, or in an akusala manner. But if,
Yeah,
that's all.
like now.
Otherwise
in the
there's
cases,
no opposite cetasika arising, yes.
yeah, and now there can be the opportunity for samavacha, um, for arising or not. And if it doesn't arise when there is the opportunity, it has to be michavacha. Now, and maybe
If I
also,
just,
yeah, sure. Go ahead.
oh no, okay, thanks, Alberto. We know too that, like at a moment of restraint, and it's useful because Jonathan has just alluded to that point. We know that it doesn't always have to be kusala. You can restrain out of fear of consequences, in an unhealthy way. If you do this, or if you say this, something unpleasant will happen to you. So I'm not saying, and also there we can see probably, certainly possibly, that there can be some kusala amongst all that akusala. But we can only sort of speculate again and guess to some degree. And as we know, it's with the growth of panya, this can become a little bit more clearer, but it's a slow process.
Anything more, Alberto, to add? Anything still not clear?
No, thank you.
But thank you for bringing it up, because, Alberto, it's something that I've sometimes thought about and tried to, as you said, distinguish or tease it apart. And as we know, that's usually just an intellectual pursuit that can be sort of interesting and will depend on, each individual accumulations. So, but there are aspects of it, I think, that can be really helpful. We try to get a better understanding of Dhamma, which is very complex, very subtle, very sophisticated. And we sometimes try, mostly out of attachment. As we know, sometimes there can be kusala there, kusala chanda, for example. But then again, too, we're often, excuse me, we're often in the realm of speculation. And Tanajan and the others would remind us that understanding can be developed at any moment, and often that's the better course. Not to say that it's a course we will always pursue, again, because of our accumulations.
So let's see if Ajahn would like to add anything further. Do you want to say something first, Alberto?
Yeah, I was saying exactly the same thing. Yeah, maybe Ajahn can add something.
So,
Yes, are you there, Ajahn? Thank you.
So, can what we are talking about, for example, Samma Vaca, Samma Kammanta, and Samma Ajiva, be realized? Not just to talk about them, but can one reality, Samma Kammanta, or Samma Ajiva, or Samma Vaca, be realized? Not just only talk about, but to realize, is it possible? When it's true, it's real. But even right now, no understanding of what is now appearing. the moment of talking, thinking about Sammavaca, what is that? And the point of listening to the truth, to understand how much ignorance and attachment are accumulated from life to life, years and years ago, and even today, from the moment we wake up till now, how many ignorance and attachment all are there, more and more and more and more added each moment. And can there be the way to realize, not just to talk about it, but before the moment of realizing the truth, there must be the understanding gradually from the very beginning. Even we talk about lopa, can it be realized? Even it's there now, seeing, hearing, that which is seen and so on, they are not realized yet. Just learn to understand each different one as it's a reality. So the characteristic of any reality can be realized, but not at the very beginning. No matter what cetasikas or citta or rupa, beyond expectation, which one would be the object of realization at that very moment, even stage by stage. For example, right now, the characteristic of that which experiences the object is there all the time, different moment, but the chief is that which experiences the object. How can this understanding be realized? Gradually, stage by stage, little by little. That's the way, the fourth noble truth, to develop from hearing, considering, to conditioned moment of unexpected awareness and right understanding of what is there. Because the understanding, the intellectual understanding, is enough to understand that as it is, not as my finger, my toe, my home, my bed, and so on. Not at all. The nature of that cannot be known. So what we are talking about, no matter it is Samma Vaca, Samma Kammanta, Vitaka, Vichara, Manasikara, can be directly experienced with understanding only. Without understanding, even if there doubt, ignorance, attachment, aversion are there by conditions unknown, because the one is trapped by attachment to the other thing all the time. It's not yet the moment of attending to the characteristic of that which is so close. No thought about the reality which is there. The world is there. Even thinking is there. Even doubt of wanting to understand this and that is there. But it's still I all the time. That's why understanding the subtlety of dhammas will let go attachment. What can be known? Anatta, unexpectedly, by conditions. It's the way to understand firmer and firmer the nature of anatta, which means no one at all, no thing at all. Otherwise, this, what we are talking about, would be forgotten even right now, or just tomorrow, or any time until death, no more thought about it. And so the most precious moment is not understanding the subtlety of what is there now. For example, no doubt about seeing. It's a reality which is now a reason by conditions, just see and then gone. What about understanding? Is that enough? Is that letting go? The accumulation, enormous ignorance and attachment to this moment as I still there, added on and on each moment. See, that's why it doesn't matter which cetasika, some piti, pasati, or whatever is there. It can be known by conditions, not by anyone at all. Otherwise, one is trapped and will be trapped on and on about this and that in the book, hearing, heard, and thought about, and so on. all the time. That's why only right understanding, which understand that realities are so very subtle, even they are there, they are not known as it is at all. And what would be object of understanding directly cannot be expected at all, beyond expectation. It happened instantly by conditions, anattanis. So anatta means no thing, no one, not at all. When will it be firm enough to condition moment of understanding that which is so close? And actually, it's the world. Without it, how can the world appear? Impossible. So it's the master of the world, Lopa, Avijja, enormous all the time. That's why hearing and understanding the subtlety of Dhammas right now is the only way, letting go ignorance and attachment to take it for something or I, as before, accumulated. This is the only way. So considering about how long ago it's been accumulated, uncountable eons and eons, hundred and thousand and more than that. So how can it be gone instantly or less instantly? It takes time. So those who have the understanding of the subtlety of Dhammas are not cling to when and what and where the Samma Amchiva or the Samma Kamanta or the Samma Vajja. It doesn't matter at all. But now, how can it be understood clearly? Not at all, because realities now do not appear well, not as they are at all. Is that right? So one is living in darkness of avijja and attachment, and understanding the way out of darkness little by little can understand that what can be known is only that which appears now or that which is there, depending on condition. Whatever is there now falls away instantly. Is that right? If there's no attention to the truth, to the one characteristic at a time, how can what are together be known? Because they are all mixed up. That's why we learn to understand the subtlety of all kinds of Dhamma, just to let go. That because even that which is now there is not understood at all. So how can there be the understanding or realizing the nature of that? Even the word is so very, very difficult to get the meaning, to understand the truth. Beyond the word, each one, each reality, no matter what we talk about it, like Samma Vajja, what is that? Citta or Cetasika? And which one is now appearing? If there's no understanding of this now appearing, how can there be the understanding of that which hasn't arisen yet? So when there's no understanding of what is there now, when is there again, no understanding of it again and again and again. So one is trapped by avijja and lopa, by lopa, which based on avijja. Without panya, it's avijja, no understanding of that which is now gone, never to return at all. Just having firm confidence of the truth. Parami, Satya, Adhidana is the only way to condition more attention to that which is now so close now. Otherwise, no time to understand what is there at all, because it is drawn away by attachment and ignorance to other things, not now. instead of thinking about Samma Kammanta and Samma Ajiva and Samma Vacha. What about now? What is there? Is it not useful? It's not beneficial? It's not the only way to let go ignorance? And this is the word of Viriya, to know what is the object right now can be known, not just talk about, little by little. Is this the only way to understand the nature of what is there right now? If anyone would like to experience the nature of Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, only that is the understanding of it is there now. So when Samma Vacha is there, it can be the understanding of Samma Vacha. See, it's now Samma Vacha. What is there? Not the word, the reality. So when there is the understanding, there can be the understanding of the word in the book, in the teachings of the Buddha, that is so very subtle. For example, Samma Ajiva, it's real, it's a reality, it's Cetasika, but what is there now? And the most precious moment in life is the moment of understanding the truth of what is now appearing. To understand the other moment, it's not anyone, it's only a reality, no matter what. The characteristic of each reality.
Ajahn, there must be understanding for the Samma, for the Virati Cetasika to have condition to release, because there can be the understanding of the danger of a kusala without understanding. It's just talking about the situation and maybe with attachment, but no, not really understanding anything, not really understanding the moment, the present moment, which is always, every moment in a day is like that. It's not understanding the reality which is arising now, no matter virati or not.
Even is there, no matter what, it's so subtle that it's not known. Why it's not known? Because it's so subtle. Whatever appears does not appear as it is. Is that true? Beginning to understand that we are in the world of nimitta. Whatever is there. For example, seeing. How many things seen? So how many moments of seeing see? Just one reality, one object at a time. Just closes one's eye instantly, all gone. How come? And as soon as one's open one's eyes, it's there already together, not only one. And the truth is that citta arises, experience, an object in a moment. And this is the letting go. The I try so hard to understand this or that because whatever now appearing does not appear well. And when it's well, it's only one. Otherwise, it does not appear well at all when they are together. See? So be truthful to the truth and be true to seeing and that which is seen, not yet understanding the difference of the two, because it's just listening, considering about they are different. But the characteristic which is not the seeing, because it's seen, and the seeing which is not that which is seen, because it sees, do not appear yet, but learn to understand. No one at all. So the moment of now, aswa, not in word, but it's there already. For example, I'm sitting. I at moment of sitting. I at moment of talking. I at moment of every moment as I, but in truth, it's gone. So instantly, understanding this will condition the moment of parami, patience, khanti parami, virya parami, be truthful to truth, satya parami, nekhamma parami, let go, attachment, and all kinds of the object of attachment and ignorance. Gradually, little by little, day to day, moment to moment, year to year, life to life, until it's there less and less. Unknown, each moment of understanding only. Without understanding, it's I again. So the words in the book can be read, can be thought about, but it has to be very careful, considering, be truthful to the truth of anatta. Even samavaja, anatta, sammakamanta, anatta. Whatever is there conditioned to arise and then fall away without understanding, or with just a moment of understanding, so very little, but it can be developed at moment of listening again, thinking about it again, that it's not clearly appear yet. So what appears every day, every moment is nimitta, the sign, the mark of what is there, which is not there anymore. Sunyata. So sunyata is what? The reality which arises and falls away instantly, never to return. Is that true? And this is Satya Bharami. And Panya Bharami condition all kinds of Bharami. So why do we listen to the teachings? To understand the truth of no one, but very enormous ignorance, attachment, and all kind of akusala. So there can be good person only when there is understanding of the teaching and understanding what is meant by good. Even right now, good, because hearing the words of truth, considering the truth, beginning to understand the difference between ignorance and right understanding. What is what? Is that good? And condition more and more wholesomeness, parami, to let go gradually by itself at moment of understanding. Unknown, but life changed little by little. but it has to be very careful. For example, Devadatta, the accumulation of akusala and the accumulation of kusala. See, don't underestimate the accumulation of akusala. It can arise anytime unknowingly. Like, I would like to understand it, I would like to hear it, I would like to try to know it, and so on. They're all there. Until the words of the truth, it's a reality no matter what. Doubt is real, it's a reality. Attachment is real, it's a reality. But there are many degrees of reality, no matter wholesome or unwholesome realities. For example, as soon as I see, the object hasn't fallen away yet, but I or attachment is there. 3 moments after seeing is there. Unknown, Kamasava, attached to that which appears through the 5 doorways, one at a time. It's there. It. So there is attachment to it. Otherwise, how can there be attachment without it when it's there? And this is so true. Moment of understanding, moment of ignorance must be different. So what we heard now is just the intellectual understanding, which will condition the moment of directly understand, instantly, unknowingly, what is there, as we have heard. Hardness only. See? Or anything, smell only. What about the smelling? That's why Buddha pointed out 5 khandhas, including all dhammas, all conditioned dhamma, the first noble truth, conditioned by ignorance and attachment to go on and on, as long as there are conditions, ignorance and attachment, no way out of that which is not anyone, only the way it is, only dhammas, condition, arising and falling away. Different by conditions, the birth and the death, and what are there in between now. So it's now, but it's not there. Little by little, moment to moment, to be tomorrow. So what is now is yesterday, tomorrow, for sure. Like yesterday, it seems like what is there as today, the bed, the house, the flowers, and so on. But yesterday gone. And what is there now seen has a reason to be the object of seeing, and so on. It keeps on like this. In darkness, the world of Panjati, everything is so real, but in truth, in the Tipitaka, Nama and Rupa is false. Different level to understand that. It's not there, but it seems like it's there. Never gone.
I think one other point, sorry, I'm late, everyone. I think one other point on the discussion is that often we forget that the kusala sila and akusala sila, the nature of chitta, is just in a moment. So when we read about sama ajiva or sama vajja or sama kamanta, it's just a moment of abstaining from akusala, the kusala sila, just for a moment. So no matter whether we're talking about the judge or the doctor or anyone else, just a moment of abstaining from harsh speech or harsh action is just for a moment, that moment of abstaining. And when it's with understanding, it is the sama ajiva or sama waja at that moment. It doesn't matter what, because as Ajahn has been stressing, instead of trying to work out the fine line, understanding what is here and now is more important. Otherwise, it's just more delirious thinking about this and that situation, as we've discussed before. And the interest, the chanda, the kusala chanda, has to be with understanding of what appears now, not the interest to work out the details in the book and work out the story. So again, it has to be at this moment, and it's just for a moment. So any kind of sila is just for a moment. We cannot tell from the outer appearance. In the doctor's surgery or the judge's court, so many different moments of kusala and akusala sila following each other. So it's not about the situation or the story, but just this moment. And it's the same for us now. Moments of abstaining from saying or doing something wrong. Kusala sila for that moment. Moments of kindness, moments of generosity, kusala sila, but it's all just for a moment. So understanding what is here and now at this moment is more precious than working out exactly whether it is sama ajiva or sama vacha in this or that situation. So I appreciate all the reminders about understanding the reality now. Always just for a moment and then gone. And it is the only way to understand that they are just different dhammas arising by conditions, all anatta, all gone instantly. Nothing to find so special, nothing to cling on to, not my good speech or good deeds, just a moment of kusala sila and then gone forever. So thank you everyone for the interesting discussion.
And for Sila, it is the behavior of Chitta. Chitta arises and behaves its own way by conditions, from moment to moment, by Pacaya, Anantara Pacaya, and Samanantara Pacaya. See what is moment of thinking and what condition it to think in such a way. The behavior of Chitta, years and years ago, conditioned to behave just like what each one is every moment. The behavior to think about this, the behavior to think about that, on and on and on. Only the behavior of Chitta, no one at all.
And it's so very helpful to appreciate it is just the behavior of Chitta, the behavior of different namas for a moment and gone, all by conditions. It cannot be any other way. At a moment of speaking harshly or a moment of abstaining from this or that, it just has to be that way at that moment by conditions and then gone. Just different dhammas arising and falling away. So it's not a story or a going to the temple and reciting precepts or doing this or that. It's just the nature of Chitta, the behavior of Chitta right now.
Just a small detail. So at the moment of restraint, abstaining from speaking harshly, for example, at that moment, the object is concept, right? It's not reality. So the moments when there's understanding, so I'm a little bit confused about this, because when we talk about understanding of the Noble Eightfold Path, it has to be about reality. So what is the case when the Sama Kamata or Sama Achiva or Sama Vachi, is involved?
I think these cheetahs follow so very, very quickly. Moments of understanding, moments of restraint from akusala, moment of thinking about what is being abstained from. So they follow so rapidly, but without the right understanding of what is harmful, what is right. There cannot be that restraint of the path, those moments of kusala, restraint.
So only at the moments of the Arya path that they actually arise together at the same moment, right?
Only at that moment do they all arise together with all the other path factors. Otherwise, it's just one or other. If it arises, just 5 factors with understanding. And I don't think it's helpful if we think, oh, but at that moment there is a concept. What about this? We can just appreciate that the cheetahs, the moment with right understanding of the reality, the moment of abstaining, very quickly follow each other. It's a bit like the sense door and the mind door process follows so rapidly. We don't have to say it's the seeing in the mind door process, or has it fallen away, because we know the nature can be known so quickly.
Yes.
Otherwise, we get lost again in the story and forget about just understanding its nature when it appears.
Agreed. Thank you.
I think that the Eightfold Path, Fivefold Path is arising with Panya, so the object must be a reality. It cannot be a concept. Maybe in ordinary life, of course, Satipatthana can arise any moment in life. But if it's not Satipatthana, it's just Virati Cettasika, but it's not Sama Vacha or Sama Kamanta or Sama Ajiva, I think. Must be with Panya, so it must be about the object must be a reality. I think. And also, I was reading in Tipitaka the reason why mudita and karuna are not path factors is because they have concept as object, which is not the case for the Virati Cettasika. They can have realities as well. When, in that case, there would be some maybe that's what I understand anyway.
Yes, the object of the right understanding, the path, has to be a reality. And the virity that arises with it is just for an instant. But before or after, it can be the wise consideration with concept as object, different moments following so rapidly. Hung, would you like to add anything?
Thank you, Sarah. Actually, I have another question, but it seems that it's not concerning at this moment, because as I learned, I read a book mentioned about the jhana. It's mentioned that jhana have two kind of jhana. Is the first one is Aramanu Upani jhana, and the other is Lakhanu jhana. So it's both mentioned about the samatha and vipassana. So it seems very interesting. So if they have a time, so please explain further to have a better understanding about jhana.
So in brief, when we read about jhana in the text, we have to know what kind of jhana is being referred to, because at moments of enlightenment, the chitta, it is jhana, it is the equivalent of jhana in strength. The concentration is the equivalent of jhana. This is lakanu pani jhana. And actually, the development of the path is the development of lakanu pani jhana, the development of understanding of the characteristic of reality, until it is that degree and strength of understanding. Whereas the aramanu pani jhana refers to the object of the development of samatha, the aramana, and it is the development of the understanding of how that object is a condition for calm and the development of calm on and on until it is mundane jhana. So jhana is used in both contexts, so we have to know whether it is referring to aramanupani jhana, the mundane jhana developed through the development of understanding, development of calm, or the lakanupani jhana, which is developing even now through the understanding of realities on and on. So at moments of enlightenment, it is always jhana, but lakanupani jhana.
It's very interesting. Yes. So
And if jhana is the proximate cause, or the object of jhana is the proximate cause, the object for enlightenment, then there may be 7 factors instead of 8, because vitaka may not be arising if it's the second jhana upwards. But I think we're just about out of time. So let's see if Ajahn would like to add any last comments, and we can discuss this more next time.
Yes, thank you, Sarah.
Ajahn, anything you would like to add further to any of these discussions? Can't hear you, Ajahn.
Oh, sorry, I forgot again to turn on the mic. Next time, because it's quite a long story, because we have to understand from the very beginning what is meant by jhana we are talking about.
Right. And thank you, Ajahn.
Thank you.
And everyone.
Sawadee
Sawadee
ka.
everyone.
Thank you, Sarah.
Awesome.
Goodbye, everyone.